Learn how to solve addition and subtraction equations. In our previous lesson, we learned how to read a word problem and write it as an equation. Equation, again, is this and that is something to equal to this or that. Bernie works at a local grocery store. He earns $7.25 per hour. Last week, he earned a total of $87. How many weeks did he work last week? Define a variable and write an equation for this real-world problem. They didn't tell us enough information. They didn't tell us how many hours he worked. So you know what? I'm going to use H. H equals the number of hours he worked. Who is the guy again? Bernie. Weekend of Bernie. Gotta watch it. Great movie. So he earns $7.25 per hour. So every hour. So that's $7.25 times the number of hours he works. Last week, he earned a total of $87. So that means he earned $725 for every hour, and it will equal $87. And this is how I have set it up. In our next lesson, we're going to learn how to solve multiplication and division equation. So that's why I'm not going to go over solving this one. Alright, so this is what we're going to be learning today. Today we're going to learn how to solve using algebra tiles. So let's use our algebra tiles. So we have our algebra tiles. Let's start very, very easy. So we have x. So we start very, very easy. So this is represented as x plus 2 is equal to positive 5. So the way you solve equation, addition or subtraction equation, is something called inverse. Remember the property called inverse. Inverse is the opposite. Think of Minecraft, as one of my students said. In Minecraft, there's something called the inverse of the y-axis, where it flips the thing, it turns the opposite of the screen or something. Anyway, so he said, oh, is that what inverse means? It's the opposite. Yeah, it's opposite. So this is my little x. This is my symbol, my variable. I want to isolate it. This wants to be all by itself. Say, get away from me. I don't want you here. So he's telling the +1 and +1, out, get out. I want to be by myself. So how can we get rid of it? You just can't get rid of it and just put it in the trash can. We have to find the inverse of it. What is the opposite of +1? -1. -1. Will these cancel now? It will. But just like a balance scale. So think of this as a balance scale. You should have a blue sheet on your desk that looks like a balance scale. If I added this -1, then it would have gotten lighter because I'm taking away 2 weight. I'm taking a weight of 2 off it. So it will not be balanced anymore. That's why I have to also include -2 on the other side, on the right side. So it balances out. So let's see what happens. So if I put these -2 on this left side and -2 on the right side, what happens? These two cancel out. So let me remove them. They zero out. These two zero out. This and this zero out. This and this zero out. So what do we have left? X is equal to +3. The solution is x equal +3 or x equals 3. That is our missing number. Because kids always ask, what is x? What is x? Now we're going to solve for x. Now you're going to find out what x is. X was 3. You know what? What if you don't want to sit here and draw algebra tiles or draw pictures or something? Could you still solve it? Of course you can solve it. But before I do that, I would like to draw pictures. I like pictures. So I'm going to draw a picture. So this is how you can solve it. If you don't have algebra tiles at home, you can solve it with pictures. So we have x. So I draw a rectangle. +2. So I draw 2 positive. 5 has 5 positives. This is Mr. X. He wants to be by himself. We need to get rid of these negatives. Positives mean these 2 positive. So what's the inverse of it? 2 negatives. Just like a balance scale, you're making it lighter. This side's heavier, so we have to balance it out. So we need to draw 2 negatives on the right side. What happens when you have positive, negative? It cancels out, zeros out, cancel out, zeros out. So x is equal to positive 3. Again, somebody say, I hate algebra tiles. I hate drawing. Why can't I just solve it? Of course, you could do this mentally. You could think it out. Oh, it's 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. But what if it was harder numbers? So I would like to teach you the correct algorithm on how to do it. What is the inverse of positive 2? What's the opposite of positive 2? I need this x. I need to isolate this x by itself. The inverse of plus 2 is negative 2. So the inverse of plus is minus. So we have positive 2 and negative 2. Cancels out. And we have 5 positive and 2 negatives. What do you have left? 3 positive. So x is equal to 3. To check your work, re-plug it in. 3 plus 2 is 5. Let's try another equation. So we did an example of addition. Let's do another addition. The problem is this one. X plus negative 4 equal, I don't know, negative 3. So what should x, what can I replace this x so it equals to negative 3? I'm going to use algebra tile, so I have an x right here. You put 4 negatives next to it. And on the other side is 3 negatives. All right, Mr. X, I want to be by myself. Away. So how can I isolate him by himself? What is the inverse of negative 1? Positive 1. How many positive 1s do I need? I need 4 positive 1s. Uh-oh. Think of your scale. It's getting 4 higher. So I need to balance out. So I need to put 4 positive 1 on this side too. What happens when you put a negative 1 and positive 1? Your inverse becomes 0. It zeroes out, cancels out. Yeah, I'm by myself. So now cancel out, cancel out, cancel out, cancel out. What do you have left? X is equal to positive 1. Or just 1. Does it really work? What if you don't have algebra tiles at home? Could you do this with drawing? Yes, you can. So we have x. We have 4 negatives. We have 3 negatives on the other side. Mr. X wants to be by himself, so how can I isolate him by himself? I need to get rid of what's the inverse of 4 negatives? 4 positives. Again, you have to balance it out. If you put 4 positive without drawing 4 positive here, it will not balance out. This will be higher than this side. What happens when you put a negative positive? Cancel, 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 cancel. 0 out, 0, 0 out. What do you have left? 1 positive. What if you don't want to sit at home and draw this or use algebra tiles? Could you also solve it? So I want to isolate this x by himself. I need to get rid of this negative 4. So what is the opposite of negative 4? Positive 4. Positive 4. So the inverse of negative 4 is positive 4. So negative 4 with 4 positive cancels out. You have 3 negatives and 4 positive. X is equal to positive 1. Let's see if that's correct. If I replace this x with 1, 1 with 4 negatives will be 3 negatives. All right, now that we practice with 2 addition, can we do it with subtraction? Will it also work with subtraction? Yes, it will. So let's try this one. X minus 8, I don't know, equals negative 3. So, whoops. I should go here. Whoops. So x equals, so how do you represent it? We have an x. We have 8 negatives. Oh goodness, why did I choose this one? Too many negatives. Let's see, 3, 6, 7, and 8 negatives. We have 3 negatives on the other side. 1, 2, 3. Mr. X wants to isolate. He wants to be himself. Away, away, away. So we need to get away. So what's the inverse of negative 8 negatives? 8 positives. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, we need to balance out because we just lifted up this balance to 8 higher. So we need to balance out with 8 positives. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What happens when you put a negative positive together? They cancel out. Cancel, 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 cancel. Yeah, I'm all by myself. Cancel, cancel, cancel. What do we have left? X is equal to positive 5. Again, what if you do not have algebra tiles with you? Could you still solve this? Could you still solve this without algebra tile? Of course you can. I would never. Of course you can solve it. So, is there a way to move? You know, in the next question, I will use smaller numbers, so I do not have to move all this. All right, what did I just do there? All right, so we have x. We have 8 negatives. 3 negatives on the other side. I need to get rid of these. I need to isolate x. He wants to be by himself, or it want to be by himself. So we draw 8 positive. That's the inverse of 8 negatives. To balance, we need to balance it out, so we need to draw 8 positive on the other side. 5, 6, 7, 8. Remember, equal means a balance scale. Both sides will be equal. So what happens when you put a negative positive? Cancel, 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 cancel. Cancel, 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 cancel. What do you have left? X equal positive 5. But what if you don't want to do algebra tiles and you don't want to draw it? Can we still? Of course you can. So we have negative 8. Some of you are going to say, that's not negative 8, Mr. Joe. That's minus 8. Remember, change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the next. Then all you do is add them up as if they're plus. So minus 8 is really adding negative 8. So what's the opposite or inverse of minus 8? Plus 8, plus 8. These two cancel. So we have 3 negatives and 8 positive. Positive 5. All right, here's our last example with algebra tiles and with a pictorial model. I'm kind of done. I'm over it now. I just want to solve it. Algorithm. So let's try this one. Negative. No, let's do 7. No. Smaller numbers. Smaller numbers. I said I'm not going to do all these. Don't like drawing these. 3 is equal to x minus 4. So what will x equal to? So let me think. So I have 3 positive. So I'm using my 3 positive. So positive 3 equal x. And we have minus 4 or negative 4. Mr. X, I want to be by myself. Get away. Me don't like you. Or I don't like you. So what's the opposite of negative 4? Positive 4. That's the inverse of it. A balance scale. Think about it. It was balanced. Now it's higher up because you just added 4 positives. Lift it up. We need to balance it. So we add 4 positives on this side. What happens here? Cancel. 0 out. Cancel. 0 out. Cancel. 0 out. Cancel. 0 out. Yay, by myself. So in here, does that need to cancel here? I don't think so. So the answer must be 7 is equal to x, or x equals 7. I prefer the x always on the left side. I like saying x is equal to 7. For me to say 7 equal x, I mean, that's okay. It just sounds very weird. But also, when we do inequality, which is a coming lesson, the x really needs to be on the left side. What if you don't want to sit at home and use algebra style? You just say, Mr. Joe, I just want to draw it. Fine, I'll draw it. So you have 3 positives, we have an x, we have 4 negatives. Mr. X wants to be by himself, so how to isolate it? We draw 4 positives, 4 positives. What happens if you put a negative positive? They all cancel out. The answer is x equals 7. Again, let's try our last one. What if you don't want to do algebra tile or draw it? Can we solve it? So we want x to be by itself. What is the inverse of minus 4 or negative 4? Plus 4, plus 4. 3 with 4 positive is positive 7. And to check your work, is 7 minus 4 equal 3? It is. So let's try to solve some of these. You may draw this or use algebra. I'm going to draw this. Only one I'm going to draw. Here's A, or x. I draw a positive, equals 7 positive. Mr. Variable, or Mr. Symbol, I want to be by myself. So I need to draw a negative. But I need to balance out, so I need to draw a negative on the other side. Cancel. 0 out, cancel out. So A is equal to how many positive? A is equal to positive 6 or just 6. All right, let's try it out. Let's check back our work. Is 6 plus 1 7? It is. Next one. I'm not drawing anymore. I'm not using algebra. Let's see if I can do it with algorithm. 3 plus a number that's represented by B is equal to negative 8. With B says, I want to be myself. I want to isolate myself. So what's opposite of 3? Inverse of 3 is negative 3, negative 3. These cancel out. It's 3 positive with 3 negative, it becomes 0 pair. If you have 8 negatives and 3 negatives, how many negatives do you have? 11 negatives. To check your work, negative 11, 3 plus negative 11 is negative 8. Next one, C, a number represented by C, plus 3 equal negative 10. What's the inverse? C wants to be isolated by himself or herself. So what's the opposite of plus 3? Negative 3, negative 3. These two cancels out. You have 10 negatives and 3 negatives. How many negatives is that in all? 13 negatives. To check your work, 13 negatives plus 3 positive. So you still have more negatives by 10. Next one, number 4. What's the V wants to be by himself. What's the inverse of minus 8? Plus 8, plus 8. 5 plus 8 is 13 equal B, or B equals 13. Be in the habit of saying the letter or symbol or the variable first equals something. Number 5, what's the T wants to be isolated. What is the opposite of minus 6? Plus 6, plus 6. So we have positive 2 equals T, or T equals positive 2, or T equals 2. Check your work. 2 take away 6, you're negative 4. And last but not least, what's the inverse of minus 3 plus 3? That's 9 negatives with 3 positive is negative 6. M equals negative 6. All right, so let's try. I don't want to do all of these. So let's try this one. An average sandhill crane is 37 inches tall. This is 22 less than the average whooping crane height. How tall is the whooping crane? I don't know, you didn't tell me. Well, so let W be the whooping crane height, an endangered species here in Texas. So we don't know how tall. So a whooping crane. Here is a whooping crane. I don't know how tall it is, they didn't tell us. So a sandhill is 37 inches tall. So here's a sandhill, 37 inches tall. That is 22 inches less than it. So if you take away 22 from this way, so it'll be W equals 37 plus 22. So the whooping crane is 37 plus 22. Another way you could have represented this was a whooping crane minus 22 equals 37. So we have a whooping crane, we take 22 from it, and it equals 37. So both of these are correct. I prefer the second one, but the first one will work. Using what we learned now we can solve this equation. What's the opposite of minus 22? Plus 22 plus 22 cancels out. So we have 59, W equals 59. 59 what? Is it inches? Inches. So what we learned today is how to solve addition and subtraction equation. In addition and subtraction equation, you have to do the inverse of it because you want to isolate the symbol or variable. And then you cancel out, there's 0 pairs, and then you have whatever left is the answer.